What if the price of unwavering faith was losing everything you love? Job was a man from the land of Uz, known for his integrity and righteousness. His story is a testament to faith in the face of unimaginable suffering. In the heavenly realm, a conversation unfolds where Job's faith is questioned by an adversary who seeks to test his devotion to God. God allows this being to test Job, but with one condition: he cannot take Job's life. Job's wealth, family, and health are attacked by the father of lies, leaving him in a state of extreme poverty and physical pain. Yet Job refuses to curse God. Instead, he cries out in anguish, asking why, but still blesses God's name. This response is not one of resignation, but of faith. Job recognizes that everything he has comes from God, and that God has the right to take it away. The question that arises is, how can someone maintain their faith in such adverse circumstances? The answer lies in how Job faces his trials, not just as personal challenges, but as opportunities to deepen his understanding of God and the world. Job's story challenges our perceptions of justice and faith. We often assume that suffering is a punishment for wrongdoing, but Job's experience reveals a truth that defies expectations. Suffering is not always divine retribution. His faith is not based on rewards or punishments, but on a deep trust in God's character. As we reflect on Job's journey, we are invited to examine our own beliefs about suffering and faith. How do we respond when faced with adversity? Do we question God's justice, or do we seek to understand His ways? Job's story is a powerful reminder that faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting in God's goodness even when we do not understand. It challenges us to rethink our assumptions about justice and faith, reminding us that sometimes the hardest questions in life do not have easy answers, but that does not mean we should stop seeking or trusting. The trial of Job. The trial of Job begins with the loss of his possessions and family. In a single day, he receives devastating news. His oxen and donkeys have been stolen, his sheep have been burned, his camels have been plundered, and his 10 children have died in a disaster. Despite this tragedy, Job does not curse God. He tears his clothes, shaves his head, and falls to the ground, saying, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Job's reaction is astonishing. Instead of blaming God, he chooses to bless his name. This response is not one of resignation, but of faith. Job acknowledges that everything he has comes from God, and that God has the right to take it away. However, this faith is not blind. Job also expresses his pain and confusion. The question that arises is, how can we apply this faith in our own lives? How can we remain steadfast in the face of adversity without losing hope? The story of Job teaches us that faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting in God's goodness, even when we do not understand. As we navigate our own challenges, we can learn from Job's resilience. His story shows us that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope, not because we understand everything, but because we can trust in something greater than ourselves. Job's journey is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for hope and faith. It reminds us that even in the midst of suffering, we can choose to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, rather than as punishments. This perspective can transform our experiences and deepen our faith. The debate with Job's friends. Job is not alone in his suffering. His friends Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar come to visit him. Although their intention is to console him, they end up accusing him of having done something wrong to deserve such punishment. According to them, God's justice is retributive. If you are good, God rewards you. If you are bad, He punishes you. Job defends his innocence, insisting that he has not committed any sin that would justify his suffering. However, his friends do not believe him. The debate becomes increasingly intense, with Job arguing that God is just, but that we do not always understand His ways. At this point, the story of Job invites us to reflect on our own perceptions of justice and suffering. Why do we believe that suffering is always a punishment? Can it not be an opportunity to grow or learn? As we consider these questions, we are reminded that our understanding of God's justice is limited. We see the world through a narrow lens while God's perspective is vast and complex. This realization can lead us to humility and a deeper trust in His sovereignty. The debate between Job and his friends is a powerful reminder that our assumptions about justice and faith are often flawed. It challenges us to seek a deeper understanding of God's ways, even when we do not have all the answers. God's response. After Job and his friends have spoken, God intervenes. He speaks from a whirlwind, asking Job if he has ever helped create the cosmos or set the constellations in place. These questions are not meant to be answered, but to highlight human limitations and God's greatness. God describes two powerful creatures, the behemoth and the leviathan, to illustrate His power and wisdom. He does not explain why Job suffered, but shows that his creation is complex and that we do not always understand His ways. God's response is not an explanation, but an invitation to trust in His wisdom. Job humbly admits his ignorance and repents of having spoken without understanding. Although he does not receive answers to his questions, his faith is strengthened. In this moment, Job's story teaches us about the importance of humility. We do not have all the answers, and sometimes the best response is to acknowledge our limitations and trust in God's goodness. As we reflect on God's response, we are reminded that faith is not about understanding everything, but about trusting in God's character. This realization can lead us to a deeper sense of peace and trust, even in the midst of uncertainty. The humility of Job. Job humbly admits his narrow thinking and lack of understanding. He acknowledges that he would not even comprehend God's answer. This response pleases God, who is upset with Job's friends for their poor advice. In the end, God restores Job's losses and defends his character to his friends. He says their explanations of justice were inaccurate and clarifies that Job spoke truthfully about him. Job's journey is not about finding answers, but about trusting God's wisdom and character even in the midst of suffering. His story challenges us to rethink our assumptions about justice and faith, reminding us that sometimes the hardest questions in life do not have easy answers, but that does not mean we should stop seeking or trusting. As we reflect on Job's humility, we are invited to examine our own responses to adversity. Do we seek answers, or do we learn to trust in God's sovereignty? Job's story is a powerful reminder that faith is not about having all the answers, but about trusting in God's goodness. It challenges us to seek a deeper understanding of God's ways, even when we do not have all the answers. A modern connection. Today we face our own storms. We lose jobs, relationships, or our sense of purpose. We ask, why me? But what if our struggles are not punishments, but opportunities to rediscover ourselves? Just like Job, we often seek answers to our suffering. We wonder if we've done something wrong or if God is punishing us. But the story of Job teaches us that sometimes the question is not why, but what next? In a world filled with uncertainty, we can learn from Job's resilience. His story shows us that even in darkness there is hope. Not because we understand everything, but because we can trust in something greater than ourselves. As we navigate our own challenges, we can apply Job's lessons to our lives. We can choose to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, rather than as punishments. This perspective can transform our experiences and deepen our faith. Job's story is a powerful reminder that resilience is not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with courage and faith. We can learn to trust in God's goodness, even when we do not understand. Steps to overcome adversity. So, how can we apply Job's lessons to our lives? First, acknowledge your pain. It's okay to feel sad or confused. Second, seek support. Surround yourself with people who understand and support you. Third, focus on what you can control, not on what you've lost. Lastly, practice gratitude. Even in the midst of pain, Job found ways to bless God. Reflect on the good things in your life, no matter how small they seem. By applying these principles, we can transform our experiences and emerge stronger. As we reflect on Job's story, we are reminded that resilience is not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with courage and faith. We can learn to trust in God's goodness, even when we do not understand. Job's journey is a testament to the human spirit's capacity for hope and faith. It reminds us that even in the midst of suffering, we can choose to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, rather than as punishments. This perspective can transform our experiences and deepen our faith. Final thoughts. Job's story is not just about suffering, it's about transformation. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, there is hope. Job's journey teaches us that our trials are not the end of the story. They are a part of a greater narrative, one that can lead to growth, resilience, and renewed faith. So, what is your storm today? Perhaps it's a personal loss, a health challenge, or a season of uncertainty. Whatever it may be, Job's story serves as a powerful reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. His life shows us that suffering is not meaningless. It can lead to profound transformation when we trust in God's plan. Job's unwavering faith in the midst of unimaginable pain is a powerful lesson. He declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." Job 13:15. This teaches us to shift our focus from asking, "Why me?" to asking, "What can I learn?" We can choose to trust that God is working all things together for good, Romans 8:28, even when it doesn't make sense. Job's honesty with God also inspires us. He brought his raw emotions before the Lord, and God listened. This reminds us that it's okay to be honest with God about our struggles. He invites us to cast our cares upon him, 1 Peter 5:7, and when we do, we open the door for his comfort and guidance. To apply these lessons to your life, acknowledge your pain and give yourself permission to grieve. Seek support from others who will encourage you and point you back to God. Focus on what you can control instead of dwelling on what you've lost. Practice gratitude for the blessings that remain in your life. Hold on to hope by remembering that your circumstances do not define your future. God does. Remember, you are not alone. There are others who have walked through similar trials and emerged stronger. Let's support each other in our journeys, just as Job's story supports us in ours. Take comfort in knowing that your pain has a purpose. Trust that God sees the bigger picture and is with you every step of the way. As we close this reflection on Job's story, I invite you to think about your own life. What challenges are you facing? How can you find strength in adversity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Together, let's rise above our challenges and find the strength to keep moving forward. Let's choose hope over despair and faith over fear. Thank you for watching. If this video encouraged you, please subscribe to our channel for more stories of hope and inspiration from the Bible. Don't forget to leave a comment below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.